more like a beginner, so that I can understand maybe the level here. Anyone wants to put it in the chat? Okay, that's great. Okay, awesome. Perfect. So the session today is actually like really tailored for more like early projects, because I assume not everyone, has like big marketing budgets. And I actually really like talking about like the different scrappy strategies. So this really is only when you're kind of getting started and are setting up your marketing structure. And maybe in the future we could do like a follow-up session that's a little more advanced, or talking about more advanced marketing strategies. Okay, great to see someone's kind of working on comms or related to marketing as well. Perfect. So I'll start sharing my screen. Go ahead, Marta. Okay, I'll share my screen and we can get into the presentation. It's just a few of us here, so if you have any question at any time, feel free to interrupt me, or if you have an example you want to share or anything like that. Okay, can you guys see my screen? I cannot see you now, so feel free to let me know through a mic.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So let's get started. Today is like really a marketing one-on-one session where we're going to talk about some of the basic fundamentals of what you need to set up your project for success. A little bit about me. I am Tereza. I work as the community lead at Funding the Commons, which really is like a community trying to advance, the tools for public goods funding and open source ecosystems. We work mostly with funders, builders, and researchers in this space, and have hosted, I think, 14 international conferences so far. I also contribute to Refamidine, which is a small community in the second largest city in Colombia, where I'm based. And I also contribute to Crypto Altruist, which is basically a content collective highlighting blockchain use cases around environmental and social impact. My background is mostly in public relations. I kind of started my career working in a small PR company focused on tech startups. That was like, yeah, over 5, 6 years ago. I have been working in communications, marketing, business development, and related fields since. And yeah, I'm really passionate about stories around tech for good, around creating narratives, around creating like strategic branding, positioning, and all that. So that's kind of what we'll be talking about today. Again, mostly around small projects and how to get started. I've also worked a lot with builders. I've participated in different hackathons. I really like getting geeky about kind of figuring out a unique story. So that's kind of what we'll be talking about today. And you can also connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn if you'd like. So let's get started. I guess the first point that I want to share is that communications is really what makes an idea discoverable. So unless you really put yourself out there, there is no way people can find you, learn about your work, and that kind of starts the whole process where you never know what's going to happen, right? Maybe that's how you're going to find a partner. Maybe that's how you pivot. Maybe that's how you get investment. Maybe that's how you find your next co-founder. But again, without doing that, without kind of participating in the distribution layer of your ideas, there is no way for someone to find you. And it's like a really interesting exercise to think about like the every projects that you know and you collaborate with, or even just like the fact that you're here today. Like, how did you learn about Good Dollar First? How did you learn about this initiative? Was it like on Twitter? Was it in a Telegram group? Did someone maybe share a link with you, and that's kind of how you got started? But there was always some kind of marketing or communication effort behind it, right? With the projects that we know, the big ones, like we can see the Bitcoin white paper here. Like, Bitcoin white paper is a marketing asset, like 100%, right? It's a piece of content that is shareable and that's snappy and that's powerful. And maybe for Ethereum, it was like Vitalik's blocks and him calling it the world computer, not just like saying Ethereum and like always talking about the technology, but also about what the technology can do. And The fact that yeah, you can recognize a pink unicorn and you're like, okay, this is Uniswap, or that like blue tells you, okay, this might be associated with Good Dollar or other brands, right? There's so many, like you see people having .ens after their Twitter name, even though it doesn't really do anything on Twitter. It's not like it's clickable, but still you immediately know who it's associated with. So again, being out there, having a story, sharing the story with the world, finding different creative ideas to tell that story is like crucial to your project success. So it's something that is definitely worth investing in. So how to get started on that? Whether like you're already building something, or whether you're just starting to think about an idea, or whether you have like a small team, it's really important to get clarity. And again, even if you're already building, ask yourself if you have this clarity, because I can assure you that 99% of projects that I know can improve this. Whether that's already a big project, whether that's someone I don't know, building a hackathon. um, this is incredibly important because this really is the foundation of going forward. And unless you have it in order, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be multiple like tone of voices for your brand. There is going to be a lot of extra work that you have to put in repeating a lot of this. So that's kind of why I wanted to start with this. What I would suggest for a smaller project getting started is that you invest in three different things, which is having a clear one-liner, which is basically a short description of what your project is, and that's something that should not be underestimated. Then there is the mission statement, and it can also be accompanied by a vision statement and the value statement. So, mission really is kind of what your purpose is as a project. Like, what are you trying to solve, for whom, how does it look, and what change does it bring overall? The vision statement that we might not get too much into today, but it still can be useful. It's kind of the change that you want to see in the world. So, that's a little more aspirational, a little more broader. And then the value statement is really like who you are, what are you trying to represent, maybe how do you kind of show up in the world. And that can, like shape a lot of the tone of voice, and the kind of the marketing approach, whether it's more serious, more playful, whether it's, I don't know, more meme focused, more approachable, whether it's more institutional, and all that. And lastly, there is the audience definition, which is like really as simple as who are you really like talking to, who really is your customer, or who are your stakeholders, kind of in the whole value chain scheme of things. But we'll get into each of these a little more deeper. So I think a really interesting exercise with the one-liners is to get everyone, maybe on your team or everyone that you've talked to about the project, describe it in one sentence. And you'll see that there is like very, very different things that people might say. And really like nailing this is gonna like save you so much time and help you so much, because it's something that's probably gonna live in your Twitter bio. It's something that's gonna live on your website. It's something that might be on the first slide of the pitch deck. So really investing in that is going to give you also like a lot of clarity. It's something that you see, like if you're talking to people and they fail to do this one exercise, to share their project clearly in one sentence. It's something also that like immediately erodes your trust in them, their capacity to build that, and also the project itself. I actually pulled like a few examples, like really good examples here of what I found. I specifically omitted the company names, and changed it a little bit. But when we read them, for example, the first one, a decentralized storage network designed to store humanity's most important information, it's very likely that a project already comes to mind. Again, I cannot see the chat, unfortunately, but if anyone wants to guess what it is, I'll give you a few seconds if you want to say what project that could be. I'm not sure if anyone's on the receiving end, but then I'll just say it. Feel free.
It would be IPFS, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
IBFS or Falcon. Perfect. The second one, let's try guessing too. the world's first and largest digital marketplace for crypto collectibles and NFTs. Anyone wants to shout?
OpenSea?
Exactly. This is OpenSea, and you can see how clear it is. Like you can, I mean, it's a digital marketplace, crypto collectibles, NFTs. The keywords here are really, really strong and clear, and you guessed it correctly. So it's a perfect one-liner. And the last one might be a little more tricky because there's a lot of companies in this space, but the industry standard Oracle platform bringing the capital markets on chain and powering the majority of decentralized finance. So again, this is telling us Oracle's a lot of connecting decentralized finance. So anyone wants to guess what this could be?
Changing.
Exactly. Okay, so you guys can see that these one-liners work really well because you were able to tell exactly who these projects are. So maybe like working from the other ways, like how would you describe a project that even after you repeat this 100 times, it's still relevant and people can kind of recognize you through that? Is a really, really good exercise. So that's one-liners, and maybe if we have some time in the end, we can kind of practice this together. If anyone wants to share their projects, and we can kind of try to craft these, that could be really interesting. But let's move on to the mission statement. So again, mission statement is all about the purpose. It's really important here that you anchor your story to something that's bigger than you. So this is not a place where to talk about like, okay, I'm going to revolutionize blockchain and I'm going to transform the industry and stuff, because this really is about like the people and the practical impact that you want to have. This is all about the why, all about solving a problem, not the tech, right? I mean, you can still mention what makes the tech special, but it's not where you are talking about like ZK snarks and all that. This is really about the impact. You should be specific and realistic enough, like maybe rather than talking about like, okay, I want to build an open internet and I want to transform people's life again. You should be talking about, okay, this is going to be, I don't know, decentralized storage that's going to allow people to do something and something. One example that I really like is Lens Protocol. They're saying that we want to build an open, user-owned, decentralized social graph that gives content creators and users control over their profiles, content, and connections. This is so powerful because, first of all, it's pretty clear, like decentralized social graph already gives me an idea of what this is. And second, they're all about talking about what it is that they're going to bring to their users. So this is like a really, really clear mission statement. I would say normal it's like 2 to 3 sentences tops, like a short paragraph. And again, creating this can be like a really powerful asset because it's something that it can live in your, I don't know, Notion, on your website. It's something that you're sharing with people as well. For example, if they're asking you for a blurb, if like, hey, what company are you representing? Hey, I'm with this company. It's really good to also link the name of the project in it so that it's like easily shareable. But yeah, like investing in this asset really pays off. Lastly, it's audience definition, and that really has a lot to do with positioning. So really like what exactly you're doing for whom? How do you solve that problem? This is also like a space where you can identify who else is doing that and how you stand out. And it's also good to think of the emotional hook because we kind of saw with the Lens example, like how do we want people to feel? I think Lens want them to feel empowered and in control of their social graph, of their social data, right? So think about it as well, like I don't know whether that's a DeFi product, whether you are like, I don't know, a freelance designer, whether you are working with a blockchain protocol, like what is the ultimate goal of how you want your user to feel is something really interesting about and something we don't tend to think about on the daily because sometimes we're so stuck thinking about, okay, this is the service that we deliver and this is how it's going to look and this is like how the world's going to be better. But like specifically think about like an individual and what can they do with your product that they weren't able to do without it? Like how are you making their life better? Because this is something that shapes a lot of the future marketing. It shapes a lot of the content that you're going to produce. It shapes your tone of voice. Like whether it's like a single tweet that you're going to put out there or whether it's a call to email outreach, this really matters. So try to make it your compass. I found this really cool template that you can, I don't know, screenshot and try it out as well. It's for target audience. Project name is a solution that does something because it is uniquely positioned to do it. So, for example, for the Lens example, it could be something like for social media users, Lens protocol is the decentralized social graph solution that allows them to control their, I don't know, social data because it runs on this specific technology or because it does it like that. So yeah, also something really good to think about. And yeah, I guess their target audience are social media users, but it can be even more granular, like social media users looking for this and this, or crypto natives, or I'm not sure who they want to target specifically, but it really is worth it, like going very granular and trying to understand their user. So these are the three things that I think are worth investing in. But after you're done with those foundations, after you're really clear on kind of, okay, this is what I am, this is what I'm bringing, this is who I'm bringing it to, you kind of start kind of crafting it more specifically. So, what I suggest is that then you really invest in key assets that you can always use, and they're your foundations, that are your safe pillars that you can reuse, and you can like share them with different stakeholders, whether it's community partners, whether it's potential investors, whether that's users, whether that's, I don't know, integration platforms and all that. And yeah, like it's really good that you're consistent with these. So that's why making sure that these are of high quality, that you feel happy with and proud of, is really important. Let's start talking about a one pager or website. I don't really think that you need to invest like in a full blown website that's like really nicely designed. I think you need more of a landing page, and that can also be a one pager. It doesn't even need to be a website itself. It can be, a Notion doc. And actually, I think it's funny. I read that Starknet started exactly like that. They just had a really clean Notion doc rather than a website. So you can see that it can be a really powerful place to start. And I would say things like these really help you also just focus on what is important, right? Because if you start from day one thinking, okay, I want a website, it's really likely that you're going to get lost in it. You're going to be like, okay, I need a landing page, I need a contact page, I need to show a case study, I need to show, I don't know, the product, I need to maybe add like a partners page. And you kind of like start like snowballing on what you need, but forget about the essentials. So I would say like you just need like a simple thing. And we're gonna talk about what that might look like later. Then basic branding, which like really makes you memorable and maybe allows you to encompass some of the values and mission statement that we talked about. So this is something that's gonna give you recognition, that's gonna be an asset in the different places that you might inhabit, whether that's, I don't know, like Twitter or Telegram groups or real person event and all that. So something worth investing in as well. And lastly, there's the pitch deck, which really is kind of telling your story, telling your why, and telling how you solve those problems. And is something that's easily shareable and at least like sets a bigger foundation of your kind of professional work and your capacity to deliver on that. Like one pager is fun, but let's be real, I can probably generate a really good one pager, like in 30 minutes. Or like one that could like fool someone, but the pitch deck is really when we're going deep in my capacity to deliver on that as well. So, that can be like my social proof, or that can be my roadmap and my financials and a market analysis and all that, which really requires a little deeper of an understanding. So let's go through each of these as well. So for the one pager and website, I would say it like really is a scannable, like quick resource where people can just like get a quick understanding of what you're trying to do, how that looks, and it's a conversation starter, right? It's something you're gonna share with people, and they're gonna decide, okay, I want to go deeper, I want to be a part of this, I want to invest in this, I want to be a user of this. So really like having short, clear sections is important. I would say the structure that's like easiest to follow is like what it is, what it does for me as a user and what can I do next. Like, is it, I don't know, messaging you? Is it scheduling a call? Is it testing it out? Is it for now just, I don't know, putting my email in? Is it following you on Twitter? Whatever it is, I mean, ideally not just following you on Twitter, because that's not going to convert into a user, but can if you're just getting started or are looking for something else. I also think that something that can be really useful is putting some kind of like social proof there as well. So if you have any metrics, testimonials, logos, it's really good to kind of borrow that credibility. Obviously, you shouldn't make it up, but for example, if your project won a hackathon or if you got some early grant money, this is kind of where you put it as like trusted partners, or yeah, you can kind of share that story there. What I also notice a lot and think is incredibly important is nailing the how it works part. I kind of added like a random scheme here that I found for a social authentication service. So basically like logging into a platform with your wallet. But you can see like very clearly about them being able to explain how it works. Okay, it's just like generate like random once only use number, like how it goes next, how the wallet signature works, and all that. And some projects tend to be very, very difficult. And I saw it actually when I was mentoring in the Good Dollar Builders round, the first round, that this is like where a lot of the projects end up being super confused. Because there's like a lot of actions that they can take. Sometimes they're not even thinking about the actions that the user take, but they're thinking about the backend. This needs to be like really, really easily explained because this is where people tend to find the most gaps, right? This is the most important thing, really. And I remember I was talking to a really established project in Colombia like a year ago. And again, they got a lot of like VC funds. They were like feeling really confident. They were like already really advanced with the project. But then my friend like randomly asked them like, okay, so what wallets do you want people to use? And they were not able to answer. They're like, oh yeah, like any kind of wallet. But they didn't really think about like the most simple thing, like, okay, the user is getting started. What happens next? How does the flow work? So I think if you already have this, think about whether it's strong enough. And if you don't really have it yet, think about, okay, what is really the flow? What is the full flow? Are there any gaps? Am I forgetting something? What happens if this break and all that? It really is a good place to start. To also like build your argument and make sure that you're showing that you're really understanding well all the different steps that will happen and making sure that they don't get broken. Next up is the basic branding. Again, this is really about having the key assets like logos, colors, and fonts in one place, ideally. I would say you really want to, it's gonna take you a few minutes to like put these together like in one place. And it's something that is gonna pay off so much because whenever someone's gonna ask you like, hey, can you send me the logos? You just send a link. You don't have to like dig them up like in a random folder in Google Drive. Have them like in black, white, and your brand colors if you need to, because it's very likely that someone's going to use a different background and then suddenly the black is not going to work anymore and they're going to message you like, hey, do you have this in white as well? And trust me, it's going to happen a lot. So just do it from the start so that you don't have to worry about it. Um, I would say also like keep it light and shareable. Can be Notion, Figma, Google Drive, wherever it is. Like just make sure it's like with one click you can share it. I would say also when you're doing that, include a short blurb, which can be the mission statement, for example, that people can reuse. They can put it like whether it's a newsletter, whether it's a press release, like whatever it might be. Having that like ready for them is super super useful. It has happened to me a lot, especially like working with smaller projects that I don't know, there's suddenly like a grant application and there's panic, right? Like, okay, where do we have our logos? Oh no, this logo is too big. How is it like, can it be too big? It doesn't fit under 2 MB. And where is our mission statement again? Oh no, we have free versions. Like, which one do we choose right now? None of it works. So like really, it's gonna save you so much trouble having this like very, very established and very clear. And again, for things like grants application, you might be like repeating this every week. So just make sure you have it. A really cool example that I found is the Bentomi Crecimiento website. So it really is a place where you just like land This is basically their website. You can kind of see some of their news, some of their calls to action. You can easily link to their socials. And if you scroll down, there's actually like a media place where you can, with one click, see all their logos, see their brand book, kind of how they use the logos and all that. So if you want to kind of combine the website with directly the brand assets, it's like a really good idea. And with Bento Me, or like there's also like a Linktree, but I would say Bento is more visual. It's like a really easy way to do it. Okay, next up is the pitch deck. What I found really interesting is that DocSend is like the website where you can upload your decks and people can access it, for example, by exchanging it through their email. I found that they put together an average, or like found out the average time people take to look at decks, and apparently it's 2 minutes 42 seconds. So that's like a really good reference of what you should be designing your deck towards. People say that 10 to 12 slides is the most like I would say standard way to go about it. Obviously, it should be very clean, very readable. Don't make the mistake that you need to include everything there. It should like really be like the milestones that like tell your story like one by one, the most important information to catch somebody's attention, to tell what you do in the cleanest way possible. So if you already have a deck, go through it again and see if there is something you actually don't need to say, and if what you are saying and needs to be said can be said in an even better, clear way. I would say, again, like the best practice is to have each one slide represents one idea or one thought that you want to communicate. Don't try to say more than that. I would say also show, don't tell. You know, like I would like always try to avoid these like big words like, "Hey, we're gonna transform this. I'm gonna change the world," and stuff. It's not needed, and it's probably going to show that you're not realistic. What is much better is like being true. Like even if your mission is something like relatively like what could be considered small, like, "Hey, I just want to improve this DeFi flow," or "I just want to make identity on this protocol easier," or "I just want to allow for people to trade NFTs without having to, I don't know, sign different transactions." So think about it and then like tell that story in a clear way, because even that is super impactful if you share it correctly. So the arc that you want to follow is going from problem to the solution, to the proof that you can solve that problem and it's worth solving, to the vision of how you're going to do it. A really good like specific way you can go about it is dedicated in slide 1 to 3 to what you do, what is the problem you're solving, how you're solving it, and why you're solving that, or like specifically about the product, not about you, the project. Then 4 to 6 can be how you're doing that. So that can be the product demo, that can be the business model. That's like basically the tech, the nitty-gritty of how. Um, you could specifically include a flow like that. I would say don't necessarily put like a video in it, because it can make the presentation itself heavy and less easy to share. But you can always add a link there to a screen recording or anything like that that you can keep like, I don't know, under 1 minute or 1 to 2 minute stops, where you're kind of showing everything and how it works. Then slide 7 can be, kind of the broader analysis of how that fits into the world. So that can be the go-to-market. It can be like why it's worth solving. It can be the competition, your team as well, if you'd like. And then final part should be around kind of your roadmap. The financials can be the investment ask as well, or anything like that. If you're looking for some good points of reference, I would say deck.gallery is a really good website to go to. If you don't know it yet, you can find a lot of cool decks there of different established companies. There's also some Web3 examples there that are worth checking out. I found this Yuga Labs one, which is basically Board Ape Yacht Club and their strategy. But you'll see that it always depends on what the deck is trying to achieve, right? So some of these decks are actually not like fundraising decks. Some are to communicate a specific feature announcement. They're in different stages. So also think about that, like what is the specific purpose of the deck? Because you just don't want to create like, a generic thing and then be diving into different features, or like whatever is the purpose is gonna define the content always. And so let me see. Okay, so I found this one that we can look at together just like very, very briefly. But it was about like the world's decentralized museum. And you can see how little content heavy it sometimes is. It really is to give an idea, okay, what if we could like decentralize physical museums and the internet, like everyone on the internet could own them. Okay, so this is showing the current problem, right? Museums run backwards. This is like what I see immediately. Um, Fail to take advantage of their value creation. Okay, so we're talking about value creation of like physical objects and like knowledge and things like that. And I can see already, okay, access and culture keywords. Great. Moving on. Traditional versus archive. Okay, so archive, I guess, is the name of the project. Okay, I immediately know they're comparing and they're showing what they can do. I guess the next one is going to be the product. Okay, it is. This is what they're offering. Okay, I can see some keywords, NFTs. So this really is about ownership of culture and like improving access. Great. What is happening next? Okay, they're explaining how exactly that works, how they're going to achieve it, what are the stages of it, right? Okay, now they're taking a little moment to educate me on the market. They're putting in some numbers that I can reference to believe in that this is a pursuit worth like my attention. Next up, we can see that they have some more context. This is the social proof that we discussed. They're showing that okay, they're already having some traction. They're already like this is like already a legit established project. And then the team, and then call to action. Okay, I can email them. So this is like a really good example of I think a Web3 deck. Let's come back to this. Um, just gonna restart the sharing. Okay. And then setting things up. So we already have everything clear about our project. We already built some of the key assets, and now we need to set things up. So that really is about creating a sustainable long-term marketing machinery. Three tips that I have here is that you make it extremely lightweight. So you don't want to, like say, okay, I need to be on Twitter, I need to be on LinkedIn. I am also going to start a Telegram group and maybe a Discord channel in case there are some builders that want to talk. I would definitely not recommend that. I think you should think about your audience and pick one or two platform tops, not more than that. It's going to be like really heavy. You don't need that as well. You just need to pick well and stick to it. When we're talking about sticking to it, I would also say just be consistent. I tend to write a lot of articles, for example, for crypto altruists, and sometimes I go and basically whether a project still exists or not, I check solely based on their Twitter activity. Like if I see that the last time they posted on was 6 months ago, I'm just gonna assume that they are not around anymore. And even if they are, they're probably going through a rough patch or something because Twitter is directly linked on their website. So if they're not contributing to it, I don't think they're doing well. So I'm probably not going to reach out to them or include them in an article or something like that. So even if it's like once a week or once in 2 weeks, like worst case scenario, it's still worth being around. And you can always just like retweet something or post something little or share like a post from your personal profile on the project profile or anything like that. Just make sure that you're consistent. Like don't feel bad about not posting much actually. Like even if it's like again once a week, it's still enough. You don't have to be around every single day and like wreck your brains about okay, what do I post today? Like I need to be out there. That's not necessary. Like obviously with later stages it would be ideal to be more present, but if you're starting, just make sure you're out there and consistent. The second thing I think is again thinking about your audience. Like, what do they want to see? How can they be engaged in the long term? And how can I give them value? I think the value thing here is the key word. Whether it's, I don't know, being again on Twitter or starting a Telegram group where you're just gonna, I don't know, call it like project OGs or beta testers or something and allowing them to participate can be really, really powerful. Also, you have their contact. You can always re-engage them. Should you need to? Should you have a new feature? Should you have something new for them to play with? Or on Twitter, it can even look like, I don't know, someone tested your thing out, they gave you feedback, you ask them for permission, and then you share it like, hey, shout out to Anna for trying this out and being our first user, or anything like that. People love when you give them the spotlight. They love, like when it's like social capital, right? When you see them and when you show them that you see them. So try to find a way to do that if you can. And then the last thing, and maybe this is like my biggest like suggestion for anyone, even if you can take like one thing from your presentation, from this presentation, it would be that like record everything, because like you're gonna regret it if you don't. Whether that's calls, whether that's, I don't know, being given a grant, whether that's, I don't know, testimonials, whether that's like wins of the week. If you record everything and you know exactly where to pull it from, you're gonna save so much, so much, so much time. And yeah, like you don't have to be digging for resources. You don't have to be like, okay, another grant application. Oh my God, what is our roadmap? Where to find it? Oh my God, community testimonial. We don't even have a single one. If you record it, if you ask people for permission, like, hey, do you think I could use this in the future? Can I save this testimonial? Do you want to share feedback? Like always try to have like a really good structure, and this really ties to operations and also shows your capacity to do that. It's like really, really important. I cannot tell you like the amount of times that I was like, oh, where do I find this piece of information? Like, oh, I wish I spoke to this person about being able to use this testimonial or something like that. Like, for example, with Free Family, we do a lot of in-person events, which at some points for some grants, like Presently from Cell, was a key indicator of like our success, right? Like running events, but there was more. There were metrics like number of attendees, number of created wallets, photos, and all that. And imagine that we would just go and think about this after the fact. It would be a disaster. Like, okay, you host an event and suddenly you're trying to come up with the emails of people that attended, or you're like, oh, we didn't take pictures, or like wallet addresses, like we didn't record them. So think about like how you can do this like ahead of time and make it easier, because it's gonna like make everything a breeze. Okay, and to end things, I just want to run through like a few final tips that I have. You can test them out. Maybe some of them are going to be more relevant than others, but I know we don't have that much time, so I'll just go through these quickly. First is like send people somewhere. This really is about like having the call to action, right? Like you don't want someone to consume all this, to read your pitch deck and stuff and be like, okay, this is great, but like, what now? Unless you have a clear call to action, you're not gonna capture the value of the work that you're creating. So whether that's again like an email list, a Telegram group, whether that's trying out the product, whatever it is, make sure that there's always a next action that people can take. Second, we'll talk about it like being consistent. Sometimes you might think, okay, this is hard. Like, how do I come up with ideas? I would say just like repurpose them, repeat them. Like you have your story, you have your mission statement. You can already play with that. Like think about projects like Gitcoin. They have the public goods are good and then fund what matters, and they have probably played with that a million times at this point. Whether that's a visual, whether that's, I don't know, a survey, whether that's, I don't know, a short video, whether that's an explainer. What are public goods? What matters? How do we find that? Okay, what are the problems with that? Impact verification, Sybil resistance, quadratic funding. Like you already have so many things to play with. Third, I think is like a no-brainer. Like I would definitely not recommend buying followers, creating like a lot of AI structure. People still see it. I mean, we are not at the point where it would feel genuine. Like you can 90% of time on Twitter tell if someone's a bot. And yeah, it doesn't feel human, doesn't feel real. People want connection, so don't do that. Number four, build content anchors and repeat. This is kind of what I mentioned with the Gitcoin examples. You can have like your go-to themes. You can like really start with like your keywords and kind of expand on it. What are the problems around? Where are we solving that? Which gives you some good ideas. Repurpose. Obviously, if you create a piece of content, how can you use it in different ways? How can you use the ideas shared? Did you host a webinar? Great. Like now turn it into a series of tweets, turn it into a visual, do an infographic out of the key learnings. Maybe you can mention it in a newsletter, whatever that is. Experiment with your tone of voice. I think it's important. To be honest, this is like big weakness that I have is that I always kind of play it safe with tone of voice. If you feel like you can be bold, I would say be bold. See how people reacted. They say if they don't react it well, either you need to adjust or they're not your people and you need to be looking more. But don't be afraid to, again, like be yourself, share whatever or however you feel like, if it's aligned with your product and your mission. Communicate in value, not features. That's obviously like if I say, hey, we're launching this new feature that's like, I don't know, interlinking this and this is the documentation. It's not as exciting as if you're gonna say, hey, we're launching a feature that's gonna save you like 5 minutes on of your time on this, or that's gonna save you money, or that's gonna make this easier. So always value first, feature second. Um, 8, start with your network. That's a really, really big one. Um, it's like very likely that when you're getting started, like your first fans or your OGs are going to be people that you already know, that you can always just like hit up with some of the assets that you mentioned, right? So that's like, hey, I'm starting this. Feel free to check it out. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. I would love to hear what you think. It's like enough to reach out with your network. Similarly, think about the golden hour, which is like what I call the first hour when you publish a piece of content. So let's say a tweet. When you publish a tweet, the algorithm works in a way that favors the first hour of engagement. So if you get, I don't know, 10 likes in the first hour, the algorithm always like might think, okay, this is desirable content. I'm gonna boost it more. If you get 0 likes in the first hour, it's not gonna boost it more. So what I sometimes do when I have like a huge announcement is that I'm gonna shoot it to people that I know are likely to amplify it, right? So let's say that, I don't know, personally, I got like a big article published. I'm just going to hit up like my 3 close friends or 5 close friends, say, hey, if this doesn't bother you, feel free to engage with it. No pressure if not. Like, trust me, it really helps. Obviously, you don't want to do it every week or not even like every month. But if you have something big, like think about the golden hour. Think about, okay, if I post it now, are people likely to engage with it? Like, you don't want to post at 2 a.m. if your audience is sleeping. So think about these things as well. Show don't tell. We already talked about it. Like talking numbers, talking like clear proofs. Don't be like, okay, I'm going to transform vaguely like something. No. Celebrate your community. We also talk about it. It's like really good to like acknowledge the people that have been there with you, that give you value, that took time to give their feedback. When I talk about the golden hour, like, hey, how can you give back? Can you maybe amplify their announcement if it's relevant to your community? How can you, maybe there can be a different play. Maybe we can host an event together, like a Twitter space, whatever it is. Think about it. I would say experiment with a monthly update, and that's really a really good way to give a lot of value and information in like a very low cost way. If you don't have a newsletter, if you're like struggling to like, I don't know, write blog posts and they're not very sticky, take a time every month to think about what happened this past month that you can share. Did you launch a feature? Did you host an event? Did you come up with a new plan? Like if you do that, like one Twitter thread a month, it's like a really good way for people to stay on top of what's going on with you. But also it gives you like a diary of what you did and what you worked on. And again, for different sources, for community partners, for whatever, it's a really good way to kind of think, okay, maybe we can do this together, or maybe I can invite you to this next thing, or maybe I know an investor that's actually interested in or like was at the same event. So really good low cost thing to do. Team-led marketing for the win, obviously. If you want to go far, like make sure that your project is associated with faces. You can like retweet your own stuff. You're showing kind of, okay, I'm excited to be working on this. We are working on this with these people. It's always a good thing to do. Numbers, obviously, it's really interesting to think about, okay, what can be the number that you always like share as a indicator of success. It can be, for example, okay, I have like this amount of active users, or this is the number of wallets created, or whatever it is. It can be the big number that's like on your website and stuff. And again, if you look at projects like finding the comments for us, like one of them, the indicators is like the number of conferences, the people that we have engaged through that, like our total audience number, our views on videos, like whatever it is. It's important to have these because that's kind of how you show your impact, right? If you, again, Gitcoin is a really good example. If you go to their website, you can see how many rounds they did, um, how much money they gave indirectly to, or like helped distribute the projects. And this is like a really, really powerful thing because I'm immediately, okay, this is incredibly impactful. I want to be a part of it. Borrow credibility, we already talked about it. That should be genuine, not but basically, if you work with someone and they're happy to associate themselves with you, like take them up on that. If you can put their logo, if you can say, hey, this is how we got started, this is our supporter, do that. Again, genuinely, always. Don't make it up. And the last thing is be contactable. Always make sure, even if it's not super obvious, that people know how to get in touch, whether it's again Telegram group, whether it's an email, whether it's Twitter. Because sometimes if they want to and there's no way to do that, and it's like 4 different hoops that they need to take, you're making it difficult, they might give up on the way. And yeah, that's it. Our last message is that communication is infrastructure, which means that it's something that you invest in, it's something you focus on. And if you do that, actually, it might be lighter and easier in the long term. And yeah, always kind of check it out, reassess, adapt, and see how it resonates. Listening is a big part of that as well. So connect with your community and see what they think. And that's it. I'm gonna stop here. Are there any questions in the last few minutes that we have? Or anyone wants to share anything?
I don't see any in the chat, but if anyone has questions, this is a good time to do it. And if
Please.
not, I can go ahead. I have a more of a hypothetical question, but I think you will be able to discuss it with me. Let's take the hypothetical. I'm a single dev or small short-handed team. I'm building out Platform X and have a ton of features to build. Already on-ramped my first users and I really want to keep growing. Looking at this marketing workshop, I feel like I lose a lot of time, which I actually should be using to focus on building and giving my existing users new features and things to do. How would you respond to that? Because I know as a dev that it's really fun and you can get lost in developing
Yeah.
while skipping this part of product development. While I also start to realize in more recent times that it's actually really integrated into each other.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, I would say you need to have that balance. Like if you don't do that, like who are you even building for if you're not talking to the people about it? Like it doesn't make any sense to me. You need to like understand and you need to adjust, you need to share that story because that's gonna make your product better. You're saying I need to build features, but like how do you know you need to build those features? Who like validated those features? A lot of this happens in marketing. Like someone says, hey, I love this feature. I want it to be more like this or that. Or like you communicate a feature and that's how you get feedback. So even if your only argument is like, I want to build a good product, even then marketing is worth it, I would say. You know, not even just like, okay, I want to make this like long-term sustainable. I want to have money. No, like even if you want good product, then marketing is important.
Cool, great, it makes sense. I also feel like it is a lot of, especially solo developers, will lose a lot of time building exactly the stuff that nobody is waiting for or in need of. Or I also think it makes you think, if you start thinking about product development, it makes you think about your own product in a different way because you
Totally.
start to step out of yourself and really start to step into stakeholders, audience, whatever. And I don't know, it makes you think differently.
Yeah. It's so important because I've been like to so many like different hackathons, for example, when people are so excited about their product that they want to build it after in the real world, but they have done no like market research. They are not like grounded in the world. And I think marketing
Hmm.
helps you do that because you're like, okay, actually this market is already saturated, or oh, actually there's a company that already does that. So there's no point, or maybe I can join their team or yeah, it's really, really being grounded in the world around you and making sure how you're contributing to it.
But should market research discourage you to do something if you think you can do it better? Because it is usually, if you have a random idea, do a little bit of market research and you find at least 3 examples of people who are doing it or have attempted doing it.
Mhm. Then you can do it better because I think it would be incredibly arrogant for me to go and say, this is what the world needs and this is how I'm going to do it. I mean, what does the world need is the thing that's like you can find around. Like if there is already people doing it, okay, people need it probably, then it's a good. So how can I make it better? How can I maybe join them? How can I don't know, if it's open source, maybe we can make it better. Whatever it is, like if you're not having a constant dialogue with the world, then you're not
Yeah.
building for the world, you're building for yourself.
Very true. I can give a recent
Yeah.
example where I had an idea for a learn education platform, and there was an idea of me doing gamification, basically doing market research, and I have been really using AI for it. Just look, hey, look out resources, who has done what. I actually basically ended up on a platform that did not build an education platform. They just built the mechanisms for gamifying education, which basically ended up in me ending up in their Discord, starting to chat with the founder of it, and basically thinking, hey, maybe I don't, I had all these ideas of building gamification myself, and I think, oh, maybe I can just integrate their system and whatever.
Mm.
It's a really useful tool to do the market research and figure out what's already around.
Totally. Awesome. I see we're at
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I would just say like one last thing, a recommendation. If you want to work on the one-liners, if you want to work on the mission statement, like totally do it. You guys can also message me on Twitter. My DMs are open, or LinkedIn. If you want to discuss them, I would be happy to check out what you're working on and connect in the future as well.
Thank you, Teresa. It has been like very enlightening and like very cool. Obviously, communications and marketing is a very like important part of each project, and sometimes it seems so obvious, but it needs to be so very planned and organized. And I think you gave us a very good like idea of how to do it. So very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Teresa. That was awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thanks all. Bye
Bye.
bye.